Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be discussing, I just want to encourage all of our viewers right now to go ahead and as you are getting into this session, go ahead and type in the chat where you're at and where you're located right now. We just want to see where everyone's at. And I just want to flag for everybody before we get into our introductions, I just want to highlight that we won't be answering visa questions this time around. Hopefully we'll save that for another time. But if you do have questions, please do feel free to email bridgetowniv@state.gov. Again, that's bridgetowniv@state.gov. All right, so thank you all again for joining us. My name is Simone Kendall, and I'm the Deputy Public Affairs Officer here at the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown. So thank you again. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our introductions of our panelists. So I'll start off first with Maria Mercedes Salman. So Maria is the Regional Education Advising Coordinator, short for REAC, which I'm sure some of you saw through our flyer, from Canada, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. So Maria works on our Institute of International Education. She also oversees a network of 56 Education USA advising centers in about 25 countries. Awesome work, Maria, and that's a lot of coverage too. In her leadership, issues related to U.S. higher education, as well as addressing with stakeholders, including U.S. Embassy Public Affairs sections, such as our U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown, foreign government agencies, U.S. and foreign universities, and Fulbright commissions. So thank you, Maria, for joining us. Next up, thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much, Simone.
And next up, I want to introduce Matthew St. Bernard. So Matthew is actually in Los Angeles, California right now, working as an operation analyst at Omni Wound Physicians. And he is a Fulbright Foreign Student Scholarship recipient from the academic year of 2019 to 2020. He undertook a master's degree in public policy analysis at Texas A&M University within the College Station Graduate School. Thank you, Matthew.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
I'm glad to have you here with us. And last but not least, we have Sabrina Foster, who is our public engagement assistant right here at the U.S. Embassy in Barbados. Sabrina is responsible for a number of things, but a big part of what she does is administering information resources and coordinating the activities of the 10 Education USA advisors and managing staff and programs of the 2 American corners in Barbados, as well as the 6 countries of the Eastern Caribbean. So thank you, Sabrina, for joining us.
Thank you to Simone.
All right, so now that you've met so many of our wonderful panelists, the first thing I'm sure many of you have questions about are, what is Education USA? So I'm going to turn it over to you, Sabrina. Just if you could give us a little background on what Education USA is.
Sure, it's a great question. So Education USA is really a network of international student advising centers across the world. It is a U.S. Department of State initiative, and is supported by the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, ECA. So the purpose of this network really is to guide students through the U.S. higher education admission process, because it is quite different from our process here in the Caribbean, and it could be lengthy. So, through this network, through our advisors, through this network, they provide guidance to students by offering information that is comprehensive, accurate, current, and free, mainly about opportunities to study at post-secondary accredited institutions in the U.S.
Thank you. So one thing I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure some of our viewers who have highlighted they're in Antigua and St. Lucia, can you speak to some of where we have these Education USA advising centers?
Sure. So we have education centers in every country in the Eastern Caribbean to which the embassy is accredited to. So there is one in Antigua in the Ministry of Education. There are 3 in Barbados. One is at the Public Library, the other one is at the US Embassy, and the third is at the Barbados Community College. We have one in Dominica at their library there, at Tam CC in Grenada, in St. Kitts and Nevis at the public libraries in each island there. And in St. Lucia is at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. And then lastly in St. Vincent is at the public library. So in all 7 islands that the embassy is accredited to.
Which is great too, because nobody has an excuse why they're not checking in with an advising center, because you have one locally. So now that we have a little bit more background on what Education USA is, I want to turn it over to you, Maria, just to be able to speak about this Education USA Academy that we've been highlighting on our social media. And 2, we've also been talking a lot on our social media platforms, as well as the embassy website, about Education USA Academy Connects. So can you give us a little more background, Maria, on these programs? And before I turn it over to you, Maria, I'm sorry. I just want to highlight for our viewers right now, just feel free to type in any of your questions within the chat and share with us too, because I don't want to keep using up all the questions, because I'm sure you all have questions as viewers too. Over to you, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simone, for this opportunity. I'm very excited to be here, to be able to speak with all of our very talented Caribbean students or future students. As Sabrina mentioned, our Education USA advising services focus on providing all of the support that anyone may need in order to complete a successful application process to study at the higher education level in the United States. A few years ago, we identified an interest from younger audiences, those students who were still in high school or finishing middle school, who were interested in obtaining some kind of enhancement experience through a U.S. college or university to obtain additional skills that would help them strengthen their application process to eventually, when they graduate from high school, apply to U.S. colleges and universities. So that's when the Education USA Academy program started. It is targeted and designed for students who are between the ages of 15 and 17/18, who are currently in high school in their home countries and who are interested in engaging in taking some courses that will help them develop some of these skills, such as leadership, or even perfecting writing, the way that they present in public. Also, we have some academies that focus on specific content at the college level already, and some of them even award credit to the students who participate in our Education USA Academies, so that that credit can then be transferred once they enroll and matriculate in undergraduate programs at those institutions, focusing on themes such as aviation. We have a lot of the programs that also focus on STEM and helping students deepen their understanding of what it would be to study, what it would be like to study some of these fields. We have another academy that also focuses on the arts. And so what we want to offer the student audience here are more avenues for them to have stronger profiles and also to be exposed to what the college process will be like. So, so this way, the students understand that when they are students, full-time students on a U.S. campus, that they will have to adapt to a new classroom culture. They will have a sense of what a class entails at the higher education level in the US. They also have an opportunity to connect not only with the institution that is hosting them through these programs, but also they connect with other institutions in the area so that they get to understand and learn a little bit more about the diversity of the types of institutions and programs that are available through US higher education in the US. You may have heard in one of our Education Education USA presentations that there are more than 4,700 higher education institutions. These are colleges and universities in the United States. And so it could be a very overwhelming process to decide on which of those 4,700 is going to be the best fit for me. So we designed the Academy to help students understand a little bit better of what are some of, and help them identify what are some of those features that they would be most interested in looking for when they are deciding which is going to be the best place for them to be at. Now, during the pandemic, of course, we still wanted to offer the opportunity for students to engage and continue participating in the Education USA Academy. But because we were not able to travel, we started offering the Education USA Academy virtually. And so the new name for these virtual academies is the Academy Connects. We currently have 7 programs that run between 4 and 6 weeks. Of course, these are going to be virtual engagement. Students are going to be working virtually with an institution that they choose to attend between 18 and 25 contact hours in a week. So we hope that you've already maybe had an opportunity to explore those 7 programs that we are going to be hosting this summer. There are institutions all over the United States, different types. We have some private schools, we have some state schools, we have some small schools, some big schools. And so there's a little bit for everyone through the Education USA Academy.
Thank you, Maria. And so I'm sure our viewers, as well as myself, are like, hey, I want to sign up for this program and be a part of it. Can you share, is there a fee or a cost for this program? And then also, what deadlines are kind of associated?
That is a great question. Yes, our Academy Connects programs have a cost that ranges between $300 to $500 for the entire program. So that is a great price if you look into what it would cost for you to attend a summer program. Of course, the cost for the in-person academy, it's a little bit higher. Those academies used to range anywhere between $4,000 and $6,000, again, for a 4-week to 6-week in-person program. Of course, it's more expensive because you incur in cost of living, you're going to be on campus, etc. But we can talk about the academy, the in-person academy, when it comes, it becomes available again for everyone. But for now, we're offering the virtual Education USA Connects Academy, and the costs are within those price ranges that I mentioned. The deadlines are anytime, it could start in as early as April for some of the students to meet their paperwork, and they could run up until June, some of the later academies, because we have a wide range of also timing in which these academies will happen. Not all of them will happen at the same time. We have some academies starting as early as end of May and running up to mid-August. So also, depending on your plans, your summer plans, there's an option for you. So you don't have to cancel all of those other fun plans that you may have to participate in one of the academies.
Thank you, Maria. And so now we know like the fees associated, we got our deadline. So mark your calendars, everyone. But speaking of the cost of the program, I think this is a perfect segue to some of the scholarships, the 14 scholarships that we're offering to be involved in this program. So Sabrina, I was wondering if you could speak kind of to Education USA Academy scholarships and how people can either apply and the deadlines associated with that too.
Sure. So what the embassy has done, as you mentioned, to defray the cost of this program is to offer some scholarships to students who are between the ages of 15 and 18, but who are receiving a secondary school education and are citizens of those 7 islands that the embassy is accredited to. The embassy is offering scholarships to them. And so to be eligible, they need to complete, well, to apply, they need to complete the Google form that is currently on our website, bb.usembassy.gov. And some documents are required to be attached to that form. For example, your most recent report card, a consent form that is signed by your parents or guardian, as well as a completed adult reference. And then, in addition to that, there is the component of submitting a brief 2-minute video to the website, the email address identified Eastern Caribbean at educationusa.org, clearly stating your name, your age, what country you're from, your educational interests, what you would like to major in undergrad. Even if you don't know at the moment, that's fine too. And where you want to study in the US and where you think you should be awarded the scholarship. So that is kind of in a nutshell the application requirements.
Thank you, Sabrina. And so we do have a question from one of our viewers, Miss Christiane Reed. She is asking, after the student completes the application form in Google Docs and submits it, would the video for the scholarship have to be sent via WeTransfer at the same time?
No, not at the same time, but definitely before the deadline. The deadline is on Friday, next week, Friday, March the 18th at midnight. And so if you wanted to submit the Google form now and then you wanted to work on your video, next week, that is fine. But as long as both of them are submitted by the deadline of next week, Friday.
Thank you. All right. And so it seems like people are really curious about these programs. So one of the other questions that was asked is which universities are hosting? Maria or Sabrina, could you answer just which universities are participating? Over to you, Maria.
I can take that one because I have the list right in front of me. So Boston University, and their theme for this Academy Connects program is leadership. We also have Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and the theme for their academy is aviation and anything that is related to the application process to pursue a degree in that field. We also have St. Cloud State University, and they will specifically focus on helping you strengthen your writing skills for essays. St. John's University, which is focusing specifically on finding the right fit. So helping you, equip you, helping you develop the skills that you need to find what the best institution is for you, giving you all the tricks. Temple University will focus on present with confidence. So how can you have better presentation skills? And then, of course, also a complement to the ins and outs of U.S. institutions. We have University of Colorado Boulder, who is focusing on completing a successful application. Also, you will get some access to training and preparing for the tests that you will need to prepare through that academy. And of course, a little bit of extra focus on writing the personal statement. And last but not least is the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who will be focusing specifically on STEM. So those are the 7 academies that we'll be hosting this summer.
Thank you, Maria. And those are some really great institutions. So thank you for sharing those with us and more background about what specific programs they're going to be targeting. Matthew, so it's going to be over to you because I really want to know, and I'm sure our viewers want to know, just about your U.S. higher education experience and kind of a little bit more background about you and why you're in Los Angeles.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I would love to share a little bit about my experience with EducationUSA and in the Fulbright program. So I will say that first of all, I applied to Fulbright in 2018. Process is a bit long to start your journey as a scholar. So I applied, I did my GREs, and I got selected to go to Texas A&M University out of the choices that I had made. And I studied public policy. I did a master's in public policy with a focus on international development. And overall, I would say it's been an excellent experience for sure. I feel like one of the biggest advantages to Fulbright as well is the fact that they will have an orientation with you before you actually get to the university, get you acclimatized a little bit to the US and expectations, etc., the rigor of work. And being at Texas A&M and doing this degree, it was an excellent placement. I feel like I had lecturers and advisors who were very invested in my success and my excellence. I was able to get rigor, but also be able to really consult with them. They were helpful for sure, and I feel like the knowledge was very focused to exactly what I wanted. And Fulbright did a really good job in matching me and matching my skills to a specific degree that could bring me to the place I want to be in my career. And as to why I'm in LA, right now I'm on OPT. So OPT is post-academic training, and Fulbright will facilitate and assist you. If you have a 2-year degree, it's 15 months. And I'm on 15 months of working for an actual company, utilizing the same skills that I would have gained from my degree. And I feel like it's been a great experience thus far. I really do thank Fulbright for the opportunity. It really has been transformative for me, and it got me into the career path that I really wanted to be in as well. So yeah, right now I'm based in LA, and I will be here for the next couple months as well, working, utilizing the skills that I have gained in my degree.
Congratulations, Matthew. You're up to some very exciting things, and I'm really proud of you for completing your Fulbright program and just all that you're doing and graduating from university too. Those are no easy or small feats at all. So congratulations to you. And two, I know this might be a little difficult, but could you share what was your favorite aspect of participating in a U.S. higher education system or institution, I guess I should say?
So I think one of the things that I really enjoyed and was happy about was just really the ability to network and to really engage with practitioners and lecturers who have had experience in the area all throughout the world, been in live situations where they had to make difficult and challenging decisions. And for them bringing that knowledge into the classroom was the biggest advantage, I would say, for the US system. I think for Texas A&M University specifically, that's been my experience there, that they do try to ensure that lecturers and the people who are in the classroom also have experience in their area. And it's really invaluable as well, because you get a lot of practical applications to what you're going to do. So I would say that was a huge advantage of being in the US education system. And the second thing I would say as well would be really the ability to just fund resources or for the university to really bring in also people who are currently in positions who have decision-making power, and interacting with them, hearing what they have to say, hearing about their journey as well was also inspirational. And it really helped to guide me as to the steps that I needed to take to also be there as well.
Thank you for sharing that. So now that we've heard a little bit more about some of our programs, and we've also now been able to hear Matthew's insights on how he experienced higher education within the US. Sabrina, I'm sure some of our viewers are interested in knowing kind of like the 5 steps to getting access to US studies. But could you kind of outline some of those 5 steps that people can look to as they're considering applying to US higher education systems?
Sure. So the advisors would guide students through the 5 steps as I mentioned. 1, researching your options, because as Maria mentioned, there are more than 4,700 colleges and universities in the US. So in this step, what the advisor does, the model that they use is to find the institution that would best fit the students' need. I mean, there are different types: public, private, school for girls, school for boys. So you can find whatever you need to fit your unique degree, what you want to study. The second step would be financing your options because, of course, it's no secret that U.S. higher education, it can be costly. However, with the right research and planning, it can be affordable. And so the advisor would really sit with the student and their parents too to find out, what they can realistically afford. And then also look for financial aid options at the institutions. And when we're talking about students here, there's really no age limit. We consider anyone who's interested in pursuing post-secondary education in the U.S. as a student. So it's not necessarily somebody that's at secondary school level. The third step would be to complete their application. And each application is different, and there are different steps involved. For example, collecting letters of recommendation, writing essays, taking standardized examinations. So this is really the lengthiest step. And it could seem a bit overwhelming, but the advisor is there to guide the students so that they can have a successful outcome. And then the fourth step really comes in after the student has received the fantastic news that they've been accepted to the college or university that they want to attend, because then they have to apply for their student visa. And so the advisor would walk them through the process, explain what that is. And then fifthly is preparing for departure. So those are really the 5 steps that Education USA provides.
Thank you, Sabrina. I think that is super helpful just to break it down into like 5 steps, even though there can be many facets to that and some can be a little more difficult than others. I think it helps to just get people prepared as they are considering attending U.S. universities and institutions. So thank you for that. And two, the highlighting the wonderful resource that Education USA advisors offer. I think that is, I wish I would have taken advantage of more my advising sessions before I considered some of the institutions I attended, because they probably would have made the process a lot easier for me and saved me a lot of trouble. But as we've discussed all of these things, I do want to continue to allow for our viewers to ask any questions that they have. So please continue to submit those questions, and I'll be sure, if time permitting, I'll be sure to ask those of our panelists. But one thing I want to do, as we've already talked about some of these mini programs, we also have other upcoming opportunities for students. So the first one I want to highlight is actually a virtual webinar, so accessible to everybody, is a webinar on studying in the US. And it is the big question that I'm sure everybody is always asking of many of you, is scholarships and financial aid. So this session is going to be specifically for undergraduate study, and you're going to have the opportunity to join 3 U.S. representatives from sunny Brockport, Pennsylvania State University, as well as Miami University, and the Education USA advisor in Dominica for this session on financial aid for undergraduate study. And so tune in on Wednesday, March 16th. At 5:30 p.m. And there's also a registration link that's going to be placed on the screen for you to be able to access that, as well as in the chat. So please take advantage of this opportunity. One big question that I know it's on everybody's minds, because it's a big part of deciding to take advantage of higher education, is the financial aid piece, that finance piece. So please do tune into that session, and it's going to be on March 16th at 5:30. And then the other program that I want to highlight for you all is another webinar that's going to be happening about student visas. So I know we weren't able to answer any questions on student visas today, but please do stay tuned on our U.S. Embassy social media pages for additional information on student visas and what that process looks like, and to be able to ask your questions about the student visa process. I know it can be a little intimidating when you're thinking of not only going to a higher education institution in another country, but also thinking about, how do I even get into the country and how do I go about that student visa process? So I think it's going to be a great session, so stay tuned for more. I'm sure one other thing that people are probably wondering is, where can you go for additional information? And so a big part of that is going to be at our U.S. Embassy website, where you're going to find more information on Education USA, like where to find your advising center, who's your advisor, and how to apply to some of these institutions and walking through those processes. You can go to bb.usembassy.gov. Again, that's bb.usembassy.gov. So I think that's a big part of making sure you all have access. So you have all these links and websites, and I'm really hoping that people feel encouraged and empowered to participate in programs like these. I do have a question for Matthew. I'm just wondering if you can share any insights with our viewers on why they should consider applying to the Education USA Academy. If you can share any insights, I know this is a program you might have not specifically participated in, but as some of our viewers are probably considering or being, can you just share any insights you might have for them?
Sure. I would say for sure you should apply because this opportunity and the experience of being in the international education system or in the US education system is invaluable. You will get to interact with people who have different perspectives, who have had different experiences. And really, the big advantage as well is that it really broadens your thinking and your perspective on things. And even though I was a bit older than maybe some people who will apply, but of course you can apply at any age, you recognize that there's so many things that you can garner out of this experience when it comes to not only connecting and networking with people, simply making a good impression with college scouts or people who would be looking to host someone in the future for a program, but also the knowledge base here and the resources as well in US universities. Those are things that are invaluable. For example, in my university, for instance, there were several opportunities to do practical projects that would be fully funded from the university, and you get to interact with a lot of different people from all walks of life. One of my lecturers, for instance, was a former USAID coordinator. And so, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities to network, to connect, to hear how people who have been on the front lines of whatever area or industry you're in, how they have handled challenges, how they have overcome them, and also how they got to where they are. So yeah, the Academy is an invaluable experience for sure, and I would encourage everyone to definitely apply.
Thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate just your insights. And two, the networking is a big part of it. You're in a new place and you're having access to people you might not ever cross paths with outside of just being in that higher education institution or university. I do have one more question because we get this sometimes is too about that, just that adjustment. I'm not sure if you had much exposure to US higher education systems prior to that, but can you talk about like how you adjusted or made that transition?
Sure. I would say for me, I had not had previous experience being exposed to the US education system, but I feel like it was a smooth enough adjustment. I feel like the accessibility of lecturers and asking for help is something that I was not accustomed to as much. And it's okay. They are there to assist. You have the office hours, you go and you can really gain knowledge and understanding from that perspective. So it wasn't too tough an adjustment for me. It was just a change of delivery of information, a change of sometimes expectations, but I felt like the process was smooth, was streamlined because of Fulbright, having that orientation session prior to actually getting into the university and getting a better understanding of those expectations and generally the culture of US higher education, how those expectations function and how you should conduct yourself when those opportunities come. And really is to grab hold of those opportunities and to be open to a new experience.
Great advice, Matthew. Just encouraging our viewers to be open to new opportunities and just taking a hold of those when they come available. Maria, I wanted to ask you, just in some of your previous experience, what are some of like the commonly asked questions of some participants that go into these Education USA Academy or the Education USA Academy Connects?
Thank you, Simone. Another great question. We do get lots of questions. Well, first of all, from the students, they're excited about the format of the classes. They want to know if they're going to have one instructor or if they have many different instructors. And the answer is you'll have many different instructors. You will have one lead point of contact in your academy, but you'll get to meet many different professors and instructors. The other big question that we have is this only going to be to take classes all the time? And we wanted to be sure that this is not only an academic experience for the student, but as I mentioned earlier, this became an enhancement experience. And so for that enhancement to take place, we of course have to introduce culture and exposure to what daily life would look like for an international student coming on campus. And so our students, even if it's virtual, are exposed to other types of activities, not just taking the content courses for which they are signing up with the academy. We get the other question we get is if the sessions are live or pre-recorded for the virtual academy. And so the answer is they are live. So you may have an opportunity to watch a pre-recorded session, but we encourage you to try to not miss any of your live sessions so you can continue to connect directly with your professors, your instructors, and your classmates, more importantly. The other question we get is who's going to be around me? So many students from so many different countries are going to be joining you in this experience, and so you'll have an opportunity to connect and be friends. The other question, which I mentioned briefly earlier, is will this give me academic credit for me to transfer to my high school or for me to transfer on to college once I apply? There are some academies that offer some credit, some academic credit, but the majority of them are non-credit degree granting programs. So it's mainly about the experience and the readiness and preparing for the college application. And then, of course, we always get questions from parents about how do we pay if the student has been admitted directly, which you would have to complete at direct if you're not planning to apply to the scholarship, or if you apply to the scholarship and unfortunately are not selected, but you still want to go and participate in the academy this summer, you would have to apply directly through the different programs that I mentioned earlier. They each have their own website, but you can come to our Education USA Center and we can direct you to find those links for those applications. But going back to the questions that parents have about the payment, and so that will be done directly with the institutions, not through Education USA. I think those are some of the main questions that we are getting and collecting from the students and the parents.
Thank you so much for that, Maria. I think that was very insightful to add in because I think we do have some parents who are viewing right now, as well as viewers who are interested students or participants in the Education USA programs. Again, I want to reiterate, if you have any other questions, viewers, please feel free to put those in the chat. And also, too, I want to re-highlight some of where you can find a lot of this information. So an easy place to just go is to our embassy website, which is bb.usembassy.gov. And then if you have any specific questions in regards to Education USA or you're interested in scheduling an appointment, please feel free to email easterncaribbean@educationusa.org. That has already been featured in our chat, so please feel free to check that out. Make sure you copy and paste into your notes, as I know you all are taking a lot of notes today during this session. But also, too, I want to highlight that a lot of this is also featured on our social media. So feel free to follow us there so that you can find out more about education opportunities, as well as our different cultural programs that are going on. Also, I told you before to stay tuned for our social media page information on the webinar for your student visa. So again, I'm going to flag it again that you got to check out our social media to find more about that webinar and when to register and sign up. Before transitioning to just kind of our last comments, I wanted to see, Sabrina, from your perspective, can you mention how some of those advising sessions look? You touched on it a little bit, how advisors can go through the 5 steps, but are there any other questions that students typically come to Education U advisors on? I know a big one is scholarships, but are there anything else? Is there anything else that students can kind of go to their advisors to touch base and get more information?
Yes, you mentioned it. The biggest one is scholarships. And of course, while Education USA is not a scholarship program, we can assist students in finding institutions that would offer financial aid that would assist them in their studies. Um, I think sometimes students, another major question is the application. And so what we do, we have a really useful spreadsheet as well as all the different universities. So we usually ask students to, maybe pick about 5 or 6 universities that you're really interested in. We give them a spreadsheet or advise them to do their research, take notes, write down what the requirements are for each university, and then we come back in another session, and then we go through, and then we maybe pick a top 5, and then assist them in sending out the applications there. So the advising session is really tailored to what the students' needs are.
Thank you. And I love that it's customized because we all have our individual needs and are looking at different perspectives or have different concerns about approaching attending a U.S. Institution. Sabrina, because we're kind of winding down. I can't believe it. Has been so fun to participate with you all. But Sabrina, could you highlight again, because I know we have viewers who are interested in the scholarship. I know they're like, look, if I'm going to do this program, I probably do need a scholarship to participate in the Education USA Connects program. Can you remind everybody, so nobody forgets, everybody get your pen and paper out now, when is the deadline to apply for the Education USA Connects scholarship?
Yes, so the deadline is next week, Friday the 18th of March at midnight. So get in your Google Form application as well as your 2-minute video.
See, easy enough. Okay, so you heard it here. You got to get that application in, and it's at midnight. So make sure you do that. So I want to thank our panelists, Matthew, Maria, and Sabrina. Thank you so much for all of the insights you shared, from your personal experiences to studying in the U.S., to your experiences in terms of advising sessions and just access to these wonderful programs. As Maria noted earlier, that these programs are free. So why not take advantage of a free opportunity? Especially, this pandemic has been really rough on everybody, and especially financially. So when you have a free resource, please take advantage. And if it's not for you, please pass it along. I'm sure you all know somebody who's interested in studying in the US, and this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to share that with them as well, too, because you never know. So I want to turn it over for last words. Maria, if you could just close out with any last words you have for us and last encouragement for people to participate in USA programs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Simone. One thing that comes to mind is, if I were a lot younger, I would definitely take advantage of this experience and this opportunity. I myself as well was an international student in the US about 20 years ago, also a Fulbrighter. And I wish that I would have had some kind of preparatory support system. Actually, I also did not know about Education USA in my home country, and I wish I knew about Education USA and I had used their services, because that would have been a lot easier as well. But the last piece of advice is, apply for it. There may be some additional scholarships maybe that are coming from the institutions. We don't know if you don't get one of the 14 scholarships that the embassy in Bridgetown is offering. And if you are selected and if you decide to enroll in an Education USA Academy Connects program, have fun. It's going to be, I'm sure, and there will be another experience like that for you at this age.
Thank you, Maria. And Matthew, could you go ahead and share any last remarks you have for our viewers today?
Certainly. I would say definitely it is always important to put your name in the hat, as I like to say. Give yourself the opportunity to be successful when an opportunity presents itself. Furthermore, you should really be seeking them out. But here we have an opportunity that has presented itself, and we want to make sure that we give ourselves the best chance for growth and development. Don't be intimidated by traveling or going to a different place. This is Education USA, and we're from small islands, so sometimes you may feel a little nervous about that, but definitely go, learn a lot, grasp this knowledge that is there available to you, and I promise you, you will not regret it.
Thank you, Matthew. And that means so much. So viewers, like Matthew said, put your name in the hat. Like, what's the worst that can happen other than seeking out another opportunity or being selected for that opportunity? So I don't think it's a opportunity of a loss at all. You're going to gain experience either way. And Sabrina, can you share any last words with our viewers today?
Sure, I definitely agree with Matthew and Maria, and I wish I had this, experience when I was a bit younger as well. And as Matthew said, give yourself the opportunity, and also, you have bragging rights to be one of the first academy being one of our first cohort for next year. So hopefully, you're on here next year giving your own experience about how it was. So we look forward to viewing all those applications and. Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrina. And I just have to share, I'm sure most of you already saw that Miss Nicholas had shared her encouragement, and she just encouraged fellow St. Lucians who are eligible to apply to take advantage of every opportunity that you have access to gain a new experience. So I agree completely. Miss Nicholas, you share the same sentiments as many of our panelists here today, and that just take advantage of these opportunities. And I encourage all of our viewers, wherever you are from, to go ahead and put your name in the hat and just participate in these programs. And I just can't say it enough that, when you have the opportunity to have a free resource, just as Matthew said, take advantage of it, but also be seeking out those opportunities. And the U.S. Embassy here is a partner in education opportunities as well as cultural programs. So again, follow our social media, check out our U.S. Embassy website, which is bb.usembassy.gov. Continue to seek out what other I'm sure some of you might already have institutions that you have your eye on in the US. So feel free to take advantage of your Education USA advisors and see what other opportunities are there, and to go forth and just to conquer all these opportunities and take advantage of them. I really have to take a moment to thank again our wonderful panelists for just sharing so many of their insights. I've learned a lot. I've learned a whole lot from this, and as many people have mentioned, I did not know or participate in many advising sessions at all, and I wish I would have participated in them, especially when you have that free resource and just somebody to help support you and guide you through the process. So I want to thank our panelists. I think so many of our viewers have said thank you within the comments. So I don't know if you all were able to see those, but thank you on their behalf. And thank you so much on behalf of the U.S. Embassy for your participation in today's panel. I'm sure we will see it, hopefully an uptick. I'm claiming it that we're going to see an uptick in applicants. And two, I want to Christiani Reed. She just mentioned that she's so thankful for your responses to her question, and she found it very helpful. So thank you all. I really appreciate that you were able to share so many insights and hopefully get more people not only just to apply for the scholarship, but to really to pursue their dreams, especially if they're considering going to higher education institutions within the U.S. So thank you, Matthew, Maria, and Sabrina for participating today. And I also want to give a special thank you to our viewers. I know that it can be difficult and intimidating to participate in some of these virtual sessions because you never know what information you're going to get out of them. So I commend you on taking advantage of this free opportunity and hopefully, just rising through the ranks and pursuing higher education within the U.S. Thank you again to everyone that's participated today. And I hope that even if this opportunity is not specifically for you, that you take the opportunity to share it with your friends, family. As Sabrina noted, that these programs aren't limited to just one age or person. You can do advising sessions, whether you're looking at your bachelor's, master's, or anything in between. So please, please, please do feel free to reach out to us. Again, check out the chat for where those resources are. And of course, the U.S. Embassy website, bb.usembassy.gov, is going to be a great resource for everyone. So thank you all for tuning in. If there are no further questions, I don't see anything else popping up in the chat. But again, I'll say thank you to our panelists. It was a pleasure having you all on and so fun. So fun. But everybody have a good day and have a wonderful rest of your weekends to come. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.